Hi everybody, this is Leah Fresh Astrology. It is October 26th and we're looking kind of toward the weekend. We've got a moon Capricorn in the final degrees of Capricorn moving into Aquarius. Aquarius is one of my favorite signs because it has this ring of freedom and this sense of independence and individuality. It can symbolize the masses and grassroots movements, but it's also the individual and new innovative thought. And it speaks more toward freedom than anything else. And it's not an oppressor kind of energy. So if it's a mass movement, it's not toward oppression. So I like it's very, it strengthens the individual, the sense of being an individual, and it also strengthens the masses in terms of the little guy, and speaks toward the strength of grassroots. So I particularly like it. It's a great moon for me, like it resonates with me. But right now we're still in a Capricorn moon, which I also like. Capricorn moon is about wanting a plan, stability, working on spreadsheets, needing a more grounded feeling inside, wherever it is hitting your chart. So you're wanting to feel in a Capricorn moon. So today, not through the weekend. But it comes around once, a month. You have it for, a couple of days. You've got this feeling of wanting sort of sanity is the word that comes to mind. A sense, a Capricorn moon doesn't love chaos. It loves being capricious, so it's not it's not against playfulness. In fact, there is some playfulness in it, but it's, a playfulness that feels grounded and sane as opposed to insane. So wherever that's hitting your chart, you're wanting some groundedness. So like if it was hitting your sixth house, for example, you would want a sane self-care routine and probably want to be attending to your self-care in a more measured, planned out way, working, this is where you would go back to reliable foods or reliable exercises that are always there for you, maybe not something new. As opposed to Aquarius, where you would always want to be doing something. Like if Aquarius was hitting the Aquarius moon was hitting your sixth house, and especially if you had an Aquarius moon in the sixth house, you would, always want to be trying something new, and you'd get bored quickly with any kind of exercise routine. Any specific meal plan would get very boring very maybe. So anyway, that's kind of where we are with the moon. I would say in terms of coaching, like kind of, I'm bridging the gap between, what's going on in astrology, which is you can look at it and go, that's interesting, which I do love to do from time to time. I don't really pay attention to astrology from day to day, which is funny, maybe to you, but I know the larger influences, and also I think it's really most intriguing to get in touch with what's going on inside of you, inside of me, and then every so often look at the astrology and go, wow, that's so cool how what's going on inside of me kind of matches my chart and where all the transits are. That's really interesting that the themes overlap so with so much resonance. That's the cool factor. But I don't pay attention to astrology from day to day, which may surprise you. So with we're moving out of this Capricorn moon where you kind of want to plan. So here's a plan for the weekend. Notice where you want independence and more freedom. Notice where you feel powerless. Notice where you feel empowered. And especially notice, some of us don't really want this, but we get in a bad, acculturated, socialized habit and maybe just through our family relationships, or just how we were brought up, where we were brought up, where we feel like we have to go along just to go along, where we can't speak out in a positive speak out about what we need, not what somebody else should do. There's a distinction there. A lot of people are really good about speaking out against someone else and what someone else should or should not do. People are great at that. And even people who grew up thinking they can't speak up for themselves are actually really good at often at saying he or she should or should not do this. Let me tell you everything that's wrong with that person or you. Most people have no trouble doing that, but what I'm talking about is speaking up for yourself and what you deep down need. What do you need? Not in terms of what someone else needs to do, but boil it down to the smallest element, because sometimes people actually need something, like they do need something. Like, say, have to make this up quickly, but so it may be raw here, but off the top of my head, like somebody who is good at criticizing others may actually need a lot of self-care, and they may be just burning the candle at both ends and are actually really exhausted and feeling like they're not getting the kind of acknowledgement they need or emotional support they need. And they, out of this need, which feels bad, it starts to feel really bad and gnaw at a person. And often if they're really shut off to their own feelings and ignoring what they need, and they feel like they can't speak up for what they need personally, deep down, and they're scared to speak up or even scared to look at what they need, by suppressing that for so long, then they're more likely to mouth off and start talking about what everybody else needs to do. We all do this, so I'm not excluding myself or anybody out there. We all do this. We can't say, yeah, my sister does that. I'm talking about you and me. Again, the focus needs to come back home, back to yourself, back to myself, back to ourselves. The focus needs to go inward, oddly, in a Aquarius moon, to figure out where we're individuals and what we need to do. We may need more space, and we may need to discover where we need more space. And in the moon situation, that's going to give us emotional comfort. All right, take care.